And I love that you mentioned the idea of not depending on social media. That is what it is, because a lot of us are now like on social media and realizing that it's not necessarily as stable as we think it is.
Yes. We are here with another episode of Entrepreneurship Exposed, where we dive deep into everything of being an entrepreneur, every strategy that's out there. We go in and we're not just talking about the positives. We also want to talk about the real. We want to talk about the cons. We want to talk about the things that you want to know before you dive deep. And again, we have a great conversation going today. Another great guest. This lady is amazing. The things that she has done, the things that she's doing, her energy. I promise you will feel her energy on this podcast episode, like through voice, through video, whether you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it on Apple Podcasts or something else, you will feel her energy, right? So it's titled Spiritual Wealth Exposed, but we can contain everything that we can talk about with our guest today in one title, right? So welcome, Miss Hadiiya Barbel. How are you doing today? Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, I'm so happy that we finally made it happen.
Yes, for sure.
Made it happen, and I'm here, excited to go in and have this conversation. Very much needed conversation.
Definitely. The people are waiting to hear this information, right? Yeah. So first, we got to start with just introduce yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you got to where you are right now.
Okay, so my name is Hadiiya Barbel. I consider myself to be a catalyzer, not necessarily a coach, and I'll explain a little bit more about that a little bit later. But I come from the background of being an Emmy Award winning celebrity hair designer, worked in the industry with numerous celebrities and campaigns and video productions, and I had a whole world in that field for most of my life. And I have made a transition into the world of personal development, spirituality, woman's divine femininity training, and yes, that's my ceremonial leader, community leader. And I'm going to speak a little bit more today about what that transition looks like and the pros and the cons of that field, of going from one field to the next. So, that's just to sum it up.
But how did you even get into that? Because and maybe it's me, maybe I'm biased, but when I'm thinking, okay, I got to get into a business model, I'm going to be an entrepreneur now, I'm looking for like, okay, I guess maybe the more popular things, right? I'm like, oh, everybody's talking about trucking. Everybody's talking about this. They talking about Airbnbs, whatever.
Right.
In building a business from the beginning, I tend to look for those things that are proven models that are, cash flowing and such.
Yeah.
What made you decide to go this path?
That's a great question, because most people would say, wow, why would you do something like that when you have this very lucrative business? Working with celebrities, I was the lead hair designer for the Wendy Williams show, where I won an Emmy. Been in the New York Times several times. Ran many different studios and showrooms in the most highest end neighborhoods in New York City. And I just gave it up. And you would think, why would you give something up like that and go to something that's not so trusted? Yeah. And so, it's...
But needed.
But what did you say?
But needed. It may not be trusted, but it's needed.
Needed. See, there's a thing called a calling, right? There's a thing called purpose. Yes. And then there's a thing called community building. And so what I realized for me is that the lifestyle that I lived was something that was more of the world of transformation.
Okay, before you get to the episode, I just wanted to take another moment to say thank you to each and every one of you for supporting the channel. Entrepreneurship Exposed is starting to grow like crazy, and it's all thanks to you guys. Now, if you like the content, like the information that you're getting, like the guest speakers, like all of the strategies, then the way that you can support us is by subscribing to the channel below. Now, after you subscribe, you want to make sure that you also like every video. You comment on it if you can. And even more important is to click that notification bell. That notification bell will make sure that you get to see every single episode with all of this amazing information so that you can get started on your journey as an entrepreneur. All right, now back to the episode. Let's go.
And so even though I was touching people's crowns, women's crowns, and transforming them, it was healing work. And I had to, and so I lived that life for a time, but it came to the point where I pretty much got bored and maxed out, and I really wanted to offer more to a broader community for a need. There was a need that needed to be met. And that's what the most important thing is, understanding that, one, is there a need, right? Is there a problem that needs to be solved? So it may not be like an Airbnb, trucking, or these more masculine type of businesses, I would call it. But, the world today, there is a need for women to have more of a sense of personal healing and freedom, and understanding their gifts that they have inside and utilizing it and monetizing it. So I call it monetizing your magic. And I believe that's the term that I come up with. And I believe that the community building is really what's happening. So you would think, okay, you're going into a world of healing, but honestly, all I did was walk from one room to the next. It's the same exact business model. The only difference is that instead of me working on people's heads, I'm working with their hearts. I'm working with their minds. You see what I'm saying? But the business model is still the same thing, right? Transformation. So I think that when we understand the business model, first we have to understand the business model, right? Because you would think, like, how could you, be a spiritual woman or this goddess stuff that just seems like so whimsical and not necessarily lucrative, but that's not the case. There really can be a business out of anything that you do if you understand the business model and the business structure behind it. And
Definitely.
So, you see what I'm saying? So for me, it's like, I didn't want to trade my time for money. So working this up, it's only so many people's heads that I can service with my two hands. So I was always thinking back in those days, how is it that I'm going to retire? How is it that I'm going to be able to duplicate myself? And back in that time, I couldn't see it. I was like, I'm gonna get exhausted doing this. So I've decided to make a change and go into the world of transformation, which would reach a broader audience. And I didn't necessarily have to always be present to do it. So this is where like online courses come in, retreats, and then once the pandemic happened, so much has changed. Where we can reach people all over the world, and I was able to, because I come from running these businesses and these brands and building community, even though it was through hair, I knew I already had the skill set to build community virtually, healing, holistically, spiritually, and then also now show others how to do the same thing. So that's a whole nother business model. It's actually to teach it, right? So I'm gonna pause because I can keep talking. So I'm gonna let you.
No, but you hit the most important thing from my perspective. The most important thing that you hit is that you can turn anything into a business. But that is the key thing. Too often people feel, okay, I could work in this field. I could be self-employed. Even if they're not saying those words, that's what they end up doing. Mm-hmm. You're turning it into a business, something that would generally be more dependent on you initially. You're like, no, I need my time back. Mm-hmm. I can't just trade time for money. So let me structure this, what may have started out as, I don't even want to use the word hobby, but that's when you're self-employed, it's closer to a hobby than it is to a business. Mm-hmm. And until you put that structure in, the process in, the people in, so until you start systematizing it so that you are not working in it all the time, that's when you become a business. Once you actually do that. So I love that you did that, and I love that you're calling it out for people, because this may not be the common approach. Everyone else, a lot of people are going to focus on the mental rather than the heart. But there's this thing, one of my favorite TED Talk speakers, his name is Simon Sinek. Right. He had a TED Talk talking about, it's not called The Power of Why. I think it's called Why Leaders Do What They Do or something like that. Yes. But in it, he's saying that people don't buy what you do. They buy why you're doing it. Exactly. Right? He's saying that people are not, you can say, I sell, I don't know, paper towels. I sell paper towels. And people are like, okay, nice. Everybody sells paper towels. But if you say, well, I'm selling paper towels because of this incident that happened, and it actually touched me because I was able to help some people, and this is why I believe that paper towels are more important than toilet paper, right, or whatever, and then you're touching their heart. You're pulling at the heartstrings, and you're like, yeah, I believe that too. Yep. So I'm going to buy your paper towel. So I love that you're focusing on the heart, right?
Well, yeah, it's all about what story are we telling. And that's what really, you're really selling the emotion, the energy of what you're doing, the why of what you're doing, your passion. Why are you so passionate about this?
Yes.
Why do you want to make a change in the world with this? It could be with anything, as long as you believe in it, right? And that's what people are picking up on it. People are really picking up on your passion, your why, what problem you're solving, and how you can make a change in their lives with your products, your services, your offerings, whatever it is that you're teaching. That's what people really want. And honestly, that story, I came from this place and I went to this place, and you could do it too. And that's what people want to know. Can I do the same thing? I have a passion inside of me that I think is just a hobby, but I would like to take twisting balloons and turn it into, I love that kind of stuff, because I like that sometimes it's the simplest things that could change your life. It doesn't have to be that we go for the thing that's most popular. As long as you're passionate about it, work on it and try different things. Yes. And I believe that is what comes naturally to you. So transformation is something that comes naturally. I've been like this since a child. I was always into transformation. Always I've been an artist, dancer, painter. I'm always transforming something. But and what's passionate for me, it doesn't really matter what I touch. Sometimes I work with Airbnbs too. I love transforming Airbnbs. That's fun.
There we go.
And then it's all about how can we teach what we love. So that teaching part really is what creates that unlimited stream of income. How can we teach it? How can we turn it into a course? How can we turn it into a book? Product. There's so many different ways to do this.
Definitely. And I see that all the time in what I do. I'm buying businesses. People hear it. They're like, wow, that's amazing. In my opinion, I'm just like, all you need to know is the numbers, because there's no better investment option than this one out there, right? The ROI, especially because of the way I do it with $0 out of pocket. I'm able to acquire a business that's cash flowing. So for me, that's like, that should be enough for everybody to want to do this.
Right.
But it's not until I tell people the heart part of it that it resonates with them. There's some people who's like, oh yeah, the numbers make sense. This makes sense. How you're doing it makes sense. This is actually the best way for me to go. I'm in. But then there's others that they hear how, hey, I don't even got to be on social media if I don't want to, because I'm not presenting to social media people when I'm finding businesses to buy, right? They hear that, hey, through my strategy, I'm able to get these businesses, and I know the cash flow that's in it, so I can hire someone to run it, so I don't got to be the CEO. I don't got to be in the middle of it, and now I'm getting all my time back. When they hear those things, it starts resonating more. It's like, hey, you want to transition from your 9 to 5? You can actually get into buying businesses with no money and with no credit. They're like, wow. And then they get all your time back. It starts resonating with them. Or you already been building your business, but you couldn't scale it. And did you know that less than 5% of businesses get to 7 figures? Well, don't worry. Here's another way for you to do it. And you can still keep your passion of that current business that you have, but you can grow it. That starts resonating with them.
Listen, I'm interested. I'm interested. I'm like, listen, when are we going to have our next meeting? Because
for real.
The more you talk about that, and I love that you mentioned the idea of not depending on social media. That is what it is, because a lot of us are now like on social media and realizing that it's not necessarily as stable as we think it is. So we have to really remember that, just like how, especially like Instagram is changing, and there's a lot of changing that's happening. We have to be able to move with the change, but not social media is just one aspect, but being able to have a business that already is producing cash flow, that, like you say to me, already has a CEO. Because one of the things that when I think about what you're saying, I'm at the place where I'm like, okay, so I have some money to invest, and my credit is great. I'm looking at now, okay, let me try something different, and maybe consider acquiring a business in the field that I enjoy, so that I can use my other skills as far as marketing and branding and messaging and something that I'm passionate about, but it already is running. So then I would be more invested in it, where I'm not trading my time for money and it already has a CEO. Because that's one of the things that come up for me is like, oh my gosh, I don't want to have to be there like, at the shop or at the store or at the business. And, so that's, now it's more interesting when you explain it. I'm like, okay, there's another way that we can use our entrepreneurial knowledge and also take what we know.
Yeah. And then you're diversifying.
Diversify
multiple streams of revenue.
And we just have to be on. And this is why, for me, I believe that the work that I do is so important because mindset is first.
Yes. So speak on that. Speak on mindset, right? Because let's talk about that transition, going from your, whether it be a 9-to-5 job or whatever, into full entrepreneurship. That mindset that's needed for that transition. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we first of all, mindset is everything, and we have to put some time, energy, and attention. So I call it T. We have to give ourselves some T. All right, go ahead and
time, energy, and ascension.
Time, energy, attention. Right.
Attention.
I call it T. Right. So, that's also representing the grand investment. Right? Time, energy, and attention. That's the grand investment. The grand investment is the investment of yourself. The investment of, so before there is a monetary investment, there needs to be a mindset investment. And the way you work with your mindset is giving yourself some time, energy, and attention to get your mind right. Right?
Yeah,
so because without that, without having the tools, right? Without having that tools of like certain practices and self-care and meditation practices and getting some coaching, getting mentorship to keep your mind focused, right? Taking time out, getting proper rest, and physically training your mind, physically training your body, that's why health is wealth, right? And also putting in proper nutrients and having the will and trusting yourself enough to discipline yourself and say, hey, I'm showing up for me. I want this life. I'm ready and I'm going to do whatever it takes to stay on point. That's where we open up those doors, right? For change, for transition to happen, so that we're not operating through fear. Because see, what happens most of the time when it comes to change, the brain normally is going to have a fear reaction. And that's why most people stay stuck at where they are, because they have a fear reaction. And the fear reaction, we have to understand that it's normal because the brain is used to patterns and it's only there to protect us. So now when we switch something up, it's like immediately it goes into fight or flight mode.
Definitely.
So that's what happens with the brain. And so we have to move past that by investing that time, energy, and attention in mindset practices so that we can break through that initial fear that comes with change.
100%. Team, my team put it up on the screen. They said time, energy, intention. It's attention. T.
Attention. T.
T-E-A. Y'all put that back up again because that's critical.
Attention. Yeah.
There we go. So
investment. Because some people will say things like, I don't have the funds to do, like there's so many excuses that come up in the mind to stop you from moving forward. Right. So all these excuses, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, right? I can't get this attention. Everything else has my attention. But that's not necessarily true. It's about, what do you want? Do you really want this? Okay. And are you willing to sacrifice something else temporarily to gain something more for the long term? And that's where the mindset, first we have to get clear and identify our negative beliefs, right? Because we have to understand that belief, is a choice. We chose that. It's a decision. It's a decision.
True that, definitely.
But we can make a new decision at any given time.
Exactly, right? Now, when it comes to this spiritual wealth, right, and your approach, especially, I love that you focus on women and the divine feminine and getting back to your feminine ways. How does that help as well in business? Because there is the masculine and the feminine aspect of it, but how does that help as an entrepreneur?
Well, a lot of women, especially in the modern times, are operating through their masculine energy. And that is not, it's okay to use part of that masculine energy because we need that to get things done. And that's what masculine energy represents. All of us as human beings have both aspects of the masculine and the feminine in us. It depends on when are we using it, how are we using it, and where are we operating from most, right? So as far as women goes, because times has changed, and especially women in corporate America, that get it done and reach to the top and go. It completely removes you from your natural, feminine, intuitive ways, right? And when we are in that flow, our ideas come to us with more ease. Our relationships are better. We are not meant to work to operate like that because it throws our nervous system out of balance. Because we work on a 28-day cycle like the moon. And this is why that energetic work, we really need to understand who we are, because we're hormonal. We're not like every day the same way. We're changing throughout the cycle of our cycle as women, as our clock. So we have to, then we can actually operate at our highest at certain times. If we have this knowledge, we can launch certain businesses in certain times. If we have this knowledge, we can know how to relax and then receive new downloads and new information, new inspiration. You know what I mean? More trust and more health. And then we have better relationships with the masculine energies into our lives also, because we need that balance. We need that balance. But it's not all about go. Like we can't have two left shoes. We need that. And a lot of women are very successful. I'm a boss. But then in their relationships, they're suffering. What is that? That's not the best.
Yes. I like that. That word right there, though, balance. That's key. But I find that where it starts is being honest with yourself and understanding yourself, right? Because you have to really understand, okay, how much, if you want to say with the masculine energy that I'm putting in, and where am I lacking on the feminine, or vice versa, right? Yeah. And understanding yourself. I like to tell people that if it's important to understand your why. And if you can't get through, the hard times, then maybe your why was a lie, right?
Maybe your why was a lie.
Why was a lie, because who you lying to? You lying to yourself, right? So it's exactly what you're saying. You have to understand yourself in order to know what you need to change, what you need to keep pushing through, what you need to grow. I think it all starts there for sure.
Well, there's another point that I want to speak on, also on the opposite side of the spectrum. I've been hearing a lot of talk these days from masculine friends and energies in my life, and they've been inviting me to speak on their certain platforms about, I've been hearing this thing about spiritual women are broke. Just a new thing I heard all the time. And I was like a little offended by that at first. And then I had to say, wait, let me explore this. Let me not get defensive about it, because I'm not broke. And I'm like, and I'm a spiritual woman. So what is this thing that I'm hearing? And I heard it more than once, or, they have no structure and things like that. And I've heard it like twice in 1 week. This just came up last week. And I thought, well, interesting. This is going to be a great point to explore rather than be defensive about it. So I allowed myself to receive, and that's the feminine. I said, okay, let me explore this. And so when I did explore it, I realized, right, so I don't want to just get defensive because I'm in the masculine. I said, first I'm not. And so I said, wait, let me calm down, let me relax and study this. Let me observe.
I love this example. Keep going.
Right. And so when I observed it, I said, wow, there's some truth to this. Because sometimes whimsical, flowy women, I call it flowy earth women, right? Women who are into the celestial realms, and they work from that space on the other extreme, because we're talking about the extreme. So some women who are just like, go, in the masculine, make it happen. And then there's some women who are just really laid back. These are both imbalances, right? Too far into the feminine, too far into the masculine. So when you're too far into the feminine, you lack structure, okay? First of all, you lack discipline, okay? And discipline and order are the most, there's nothing more attractive on this earth than discipline and order from any human, male or female. Okay, this is how we make things happen. Okay, discipline, order, structure. Okay, accountability. Okay, and all of these. This is very much necessary in order to be successful in business. So sometimes women, we get too far into the feminine. It's just like, I'm just gonna flow through the day. I'm gonna see where the day takes me. I'm supposed to work on this, but instead I'm gonna go to the beach today. I'm not handling my responsibility. right?
Yeah.
So this is why it's important. So that means that, so when I looked and I said, well, there's a lot of truth, because a lot of my clients are speaking of, I don't have money for this, and they're so talented. They're just great at what they do. Why don't you have them? Did you complete that project? Because I help. I serve as a catalyzer, not a coach, but a catalyzer. Because what my goal is to push people further into their purpose so that they can monetize their magic. So I love magical women. I love women with magical, unique gifts. But can we monetize it? Because we're not going to be spiritually woke, financially broke, right? Ooh. That's not where we are. And we have
Say that again.
We're not going to be spiritually woke and financially broke. Okay?
There we go.
That's from the time of the past where we were just supposed to give away our gifts because we're just serving and because we just love it. Okay, that's nice and all, right? But then your lights are off. You're getting evicted, right? And that's so these are extreme ways that needs to be brought back into a balance. Like, know when there's time, make those appointments, show up for those calls, get structured and disciplined, wake up early. Just don't be waking up at 12 o'clock no, wake up early, get a head start. Okay, and so your spiritual practice has a time. And then your masculine energy of get it done doesn't mean that you're a man. It just means that you're focused.
Yes.
And you're going to execute the vision step by step, day by day until you complete it. And then you have a cutoff time. That's the balance. Now I'm going to go serve my family. Now I'm going to enjoy my mate. Okay. Now I'm going to serve myself. I'm going to, do the things that bring me joy. Balance it out. And that's a whole word.
I love it. But that is key though. That balance is important. The secret there is that yes, you could be the earthy, the flower child or whatever, and the whatever, but can you move from being self-employed and consciously make that transition into being a business owner? And that's where you started off in this conversation, and you brought it right back to it again. That's really what it boils down to, right? So I want to dig deeper. And you chose this realm of entrepreneurship, right? Mm-hmm. What are the pros? It's time for us to pop this realm of entrepreneurship, because there's a lot of people who are interested in, but they be scared because it's like, oh, well, I don't know if I can make money in that. And it's because they're not realizing they just need to systematize it and, make it into an actual business. So it's time to pop this industry, this path, this strategy. What are the pros of getting into this type of this industry, this topic overall?
Okay. So as a healer, I have words for this type of industry, right? Healer, motivational speaker, personal development. We can go there, or we can go into medicine woman and go deep into that space too with it, right? A spiritual entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So in that field, you have the ability to use your God or goddess given gifts and to put your full energy into doing the things that you love to do. It gives you, if you structure it properly and it is systemized, right? It can give you the time freedom that you're seeking, and you will find more enjoyment because you're not just doing a job or working for a company because you have to and you hate going to work every day. It's the same, actually, to be honest with you, in any field, right? In entrepreneurship, you get to do the things that you love to do, right? And you get to use your gift to help people. Like, you literally get to receive the benefits of someone else's transformation, which will fuel your interest and make you want to do it more and expand. There's unlimited expansion and an unlimited amount of lives that you can touch. You are more so a world changer. So even though we call it spiritual entrepreneur, you are changing the world, I love that. So you are a world changer.
Yes.
So
that's I didn't take that path in business to start, but after finding some success, I went back to that path because my aspect of that path is I need to help the youth, young adults who are coming up and they don't know what to do. Because that was me coming out of college. I was like, okay, what now? You know what I'm saying? And really, this is how life is. I'm just going to work nonstop and then go to sleep and then repeat. So that became my journey along that spiritual entrepreneurship, being a world changer overall, right? But you can do it right up from the beginning. You just need to be sure you have a plan on how to structure and make it into a full business.
Well, that's where the mentorship comes in, right?
Yes.
You want to learn from other people's mistakes, right? Learn and learn from those that you have witnessed that have found success already.
Yes.
Okay? And that's important also. Those who you find that you admire, that you've seen the proof, the evidence of success in their process and their work, and you're in a similar field, and they're offering coaching, mentorship, books, educational tools. Do that. Invest in that. And don't be afraid, because that's a big issue that's coming up from that I hear a lot too, the fear of investing. You must invest. No one grows without investing. We must all invest. And even if the investment may not initially be monetary, because you're still building and transitioning, you must also invest your time, your energy, and attention, because there are a lot. That's why we go right back to it, right? Because this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's called a grand investment. Do I really want this? How bad do I really want this? Because when you really want something, you're sending a message out, a projection out. It's like how we make business projections, financial projections. When you really want something and you focus on that, man, you give it the way it really happens when we speak about manifestation. It's really how correctly we focus.
How much tea you willing to drink?
How much tea are you willing? Woo! How much tea are you willing to drink?
Yeah.
That's the investment. And because there's a lot of information, so there's really no excuses. You have to come from a place of no excuses and start somewhere and expand.
Listen, I think that should be the first thing you tell people, because to be honest, I've heard that many times where people say, oh, I just want to manifest this. Okay, manifesting doesn't mean, hey, it doesn't just mean, hey, I want this. You have to then execute to make it happen. But that's the first part, is what do you visualize it? But then you got to put that T, that time, energy, and attention into it to make it happen. So I love that.
That word has been thrown around a little bit too previously. That I'm a manifestor, and that's what I'm talking about. This is what I'm speaking of. This is one of the main issues, the main stigmas that come to, like, when people say, oh, that spiritual stuff, there's no money there. Because everyone's speaking about manifesting and nothing is really actualizing or materializing. Because it's talking about it, because it is magic and manifestation, right? It is magic in the ability to manifest if you focus and if you execute. That's the part they're leaving out. Okay, now do the work. You're not just manifesting and all of a sudden it just pops out. No, it doesn't.
Exactly.
Get to work. Let's get it done. Put your mind and your focus, right? Yeah. Invest that T.
There we go. So now, what would you say are the opportunities if somebody wants to follow this path? What are the opportunities that exist that they should be willing to, ready to take advantage of, that's coming up soon or right now?
Well, right now in this time, you mean the overall opportunity that's available right now? Well, first you want to really focus on building community, right? This is one of the things that I stress to every single one who is focused on community work like this, because you're still in a place of service. So if you decide whether you're going to serve digitally, right? Or whether you're going to show up in person, okay? Yeah. Or a mixture, or become a speaker, become a leader, or a teacher of the teacher, right? Yeah. So, but the thing is, you must build a community first. Yeah. Okay, so these are opportunities. When you start building a community, you bring more exposure. Right, and so through building community, now when you have unlimited. From one product you can create 15 streams of income. Like the whole thing, like one thing, like you become an authority when you write a book, right? Yes, so if you write a book, right, because that's where the author comes in, authority, right? Author authority. But when you write a book with no community, it's going to be very difficult to sell that book. So first and foremost, the opportunity is building a community by being your authentic self and being clear on your messaging. Yeah. There is endless opportunities from digital products, from physical products, from teaching others, from teaching the teachers, from creating experiences. So this is a method that I teach, right? Because the whole thing when we talk about spirituality, it's more we're working from a vibrational standpoint. So that's where the word vibes come in. So I love that word vibe, right? Vibe. What's the vibe? Y'all do a vibe check, right? The thing is that a vibe is really vibration. What are you vibrating out with? So that begins with you. You are the vibe. So you create the vibe. You sell the vibe.
Yes.
You teach the vibe.
There you
I can break it down. The CST method. Create the vibe, sell the vibe, teach the vibe. But I'm going to let you jump in.
There you go. No, I love this because I think that this is something that you should focus even more on. A lot of, teachers, online people, they're teaching these different topics and they're building communities, but how effective are their communities? How efficient are their communities? How engaged are their communities? If you could go in and help people to refine their communities and create more engagement, I see value in that. You know what I'm saying? So I think other mentors and teachers would definitely go for things like that as well. And I see the overall opportunity as you were describing, because I don't even know what generation we are in right now. I know that Gen X, Gen Z, Gen Millennial, I don't know, whatever. But those people in that group, they're more online now than ever. Yep. And they're more willing to be in communities. Yep. So now, because that opportunity exists, because of that generation or those couple of generations, people this is the perfect time to come in, tug at people's hearts, which are is more effective than anything else, and build communities which people are willing to be part of. So I definitely see high opportunity there for sure. There's
a lot of pain in this world.
Yes.
This is an opportunity. Okay. Yes. There's a lot of pain. And that's why more than ever, especially since the pandemic, people they went through major life changes. Some people lost loved ones like parents. Some people lost children, lost spouses, right?
Yeah, businesses too.
Businesses, so much. So people are really seeking healing right now, more than ever before. Before it was like, more passive, more of like, I don't really need to do this. But now more than ever, that's why there's a whole new world of healing.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of the celebrities now has taken a different approach. After the pandemic, they went into the place of creating healing, like Alicia Keys. She created a whole healing brand. They knew that they needed to do something different than just look at me. What am I doing? You had to be in a place of service, and people want you to be able to solve a problem. And the great thing right now where we are is that you can literally remove all, your audience off of social media.
Yeah.
And
you should.
As you should. And that's what everyone should be focused. This is an opportunity here. Everyone should really be focused and see what's happening with the time, that things are changing, and not rely solely on social media as a business, right? Because you should be taking everyone off, as many people as possible, and putting them into a contained environment where you have your community and you're constantly now creating new ideas and programs, and and you're nurturing that community off of your main platform. This is the greatest opportunity we have right now.
Because they'll shut down your page in a heartbeat.
Done.
Hell yeah. And that's another reason why you should not just taking your community off of social media, but make sure you're keeping your content somewhere else too, not just on social media and then you lose it all when they shut down your page. Make sure you have it saved somewhere so you could repost it somewhere else new if needs be, right?
Like you should always have you should have files of your content on something like a Dropbox.
Yeah.
Right? So everything in folders. Everything in folders are organized. So this is really important that we could always repurpose content, but we want to like the greatest thing as a community leader, as someone who offers these special gifts and talents, and you should be building community first and foremost. That should be your focus, not just blindly just putting information out there, but you should be considering monetizing it as well. Okay, so that's really important to do, because people actually want to support, but if you don't give them a way to support, or how to support, or a CTA, which is a call to action.
Yeah.
But then you just giving away. It's like just taking your money and throwing it away. Just throwing it away. People want to serve you, especially when you have nurtured them. So there's a method to all of these things, and this is why mentorship is important. Because you may be great at what you do and someone else is great at the same thing that you do, but there's one person who's really winning and one person who's trying to figure it out. Why is this person winning? It's because one person is telling the story well. And it's really about who's telling the best story and giving call to action. You both are doing the same thing. One person is monetizing, one person is just posting. For popularity.
100%. So now we got, of course, more important than anything, what are the problems that you see in this industry that people should be aware of going into it?
I mean, one of the things is that it takes time. Okay, that's one of the things. It's not something. First of all, it takes time, as in any industry, but this one particularly takes a lot more time to get to know what people need, right? And also, you have to actually learn new skills that are different than just the skills. It's not necessarily a problem, but it's something that you want to consider. If you just jump into it, there's a lot of people who are into this healing work and they have special gifts that are really needed. Okay. However, they may lack what's more so of the business side of things, and will move around in circles for a while and get frustrated. It's easy to get frustrated when you don't have the skill set that's needed. So the skill set and knowing, and sometimes people do the spiritual work and feel like they don't want to charge too much. The money part is a big thing, right? Money trauma. I call it money trauma, right? And money trauma, that old belief system that you should not be charging for God's work. If you're doing God's work, you're doing work from the soul. So you shouldn't be charging, or you should be charging just the bare minimum, or just let people pay whatever they want. So then you will suffer, because that's a mindset that is outdated. Yeah. And it comes from a time period of where, a time period of the past where medicine people and healers were taken care of by the kings and the queens of the country. So they didn't have to worry about monetizing anything. But now it's different. They were served, the people were supporting them, so they didn't really have to. That's where that mindset is, an old mindset, right? It's a humble healer. I'll just accept what you give me, and I do it for the love. But these people are suffering, and it doesn't have to be this way. So the mindset is the biggest problem that I have seen. Getting healers and spiritual entrepreneurs to see their worth. That's the biggest thing. Because the mindset is like, because it hasn't necessarily, the examples haven't been as evident. There's only quite a few leaders that are really doing it big. So the examples of it is not seen as much. The evidence of it has not been seen as much. So there's still a mindset. It's just a very new concept of spirituality and wealth, right? Rather than being woke and broke. Woke and wealthy is a new concept, only a few years long. So, so we have to understand that there's an adjustment period, right? And this is why that mentorship goes back to that mentorship, because it's about what you believe to be true. Definitely. So you really have to work on the mindset. That's the problem, a big problem in this. And, and understanding that you're worthy of charging this amount or this amount. Structure is something that's important as well, because like I said, people in this work, the mindset is like, I'm into the celestial realms and I'm gonna let it take. No. Focus in, right? That happens a lot too. I'm good with my work, but like with the business part of it, I'm just not that great. Change the conversation.
And that's what it boils down to. What we started by saying is that you have to remember that, yes, spiritual and, celestial and all of that, but it's also a business. So you got to have kind of like the two switches to turn on and off. Be like, okay, I got to remember my business side of this as well. And as long as you do that, you could avoid some of those problems. And I got a problem for you a problem that I've just learned in this industry for you, and I want your opinion on. Okay. You told me once that somebody was saying something like, "Oh, like they thought you were like witches."
A witch,
like that. Yeah. And I was like, really? I never thought about that. But apparently that's a problem in terms of the perception that some people have about your industry.
That's one of my favorite ones. And it took me some time to get over that. I will say, right? It was a trigger. And I like triggers now. I welcome triggers now, because when you're doing this work, the problem is that you'll get a lot of criticism. Because of different religious belief systems. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And you have to accept that. You have to embrace that. You have to know going into this field that this is going to happen. And it took me some time, because when I was in the celebrity world, it was all good. No matter what I did, that was current. It was popular. No problem. Yeah. Okay. But the minute I started expressing what came naturally to me with my natural born gifts, and I became of service with this, it became a little, I got a lot of kickback.
Yeah.
And it was hard for me because I'm like, wait, I'm a pure spirit. I'm doing this. What do they mean? I'm not a witch. And if I'm a witch, I'm a good witch. You know what I mean? And then so it's like, and so it hurt my feelings for a while, but then I had to toughen up. And that's what that masculine energy is about. Toughening up. I couldn't stay in the feminine like, okay.
That balance.
I had to come back to the message. No, okay, that's you are allowed to feel this way.
Yeah.
That is your opinion. That's your belief. That is not mine. So so there we go. We come right back to mindset. And that's why mindset work and having that time and that energy for that devotional discipline, right? Because and also another problem that comes up is overgiving. Okay, let's talk about that's a big problem in this field. And now that I'm speaking about devotional discipline, that just came up. Devotional discipline is also giving more to yourself than you're giving to others. And this is something in the field of service, of healing, it can be draining. It can be draining. You can be drained of all your powers and become depleted, right? And sick. As you're healing others, they're being restored and you're being drained. So it's important to be mindful of that because the spiritual teachers of the past, a lot of them died at around age 60 because they've overgiven. And so now that we have new information, we are mindful of paying attention to our energy field. How much are we giving? Are we giving? Are we restoring are we refilling our own cups? And this not only for spirituality, this is for everyone who's in service, but specifically those who are giving the medicine, administering the medicine.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So because people are very needy and a lot of people are hurt. So and you want to serve so much because you love it so much and you have what it takes, and you have to be mindful of wanting to heal everyone.
Yeah. Okay? And that's again, that's where you got to remember a business is a business too. Right? You can't overextend yourself without also getting paid, compensated for your time and your services. So
absolutely.
I love it. This is an amazing topic, amazing discussion. I know that you're now considering acquiring businesses as well, right? And diversifying and getting new streams of revenue. And that's going to help you. So I always say there's 3 ways to create true wealth. And one is the financial markets. That's going to be your stocks, Forex and such, crypto. Then there's real estate, right? And then there's owning a business, whether you buy it or build it. Right. So I know you're starting to go into all these other areas as well, buying business, real estate and everything. So you're starting to build your wealth. And I have a challenge coming. I told you about it before, but a challenge for this decade. Right. This is a better challenge than them Tide Pod challenges online and all that stuff. This is called the $1 Trillion Table Challenge.
Yeah.
The $1 Trillion Table Challenge. And at the end of this decade, I want to sit in a room at a table with other people looking like me, especially that have the $1 trillion AUM, assets under management, right? Will you be at that table?
I'll be at the table.
There we go.
I'll be at that table.
There we go. You're already on that path.
Yeah. Like the real estate and acquiring businesses are mainly my 2 focuses. And as far as the other investments, stocks, I would need to have more knowledge. So like someone like me who wants to get into something like that, I'm going to now go and seek guidance. Yeah. But that's really important.
Exactly. That's where you knowledge may not be that you have to have the knowledge yourself, but knowledge means that you could get it from an expert. So you hire a financial advisor that could say, okay, hey, because I'm diversifying and this is one of the ways of creating wealth. Hey, I got another $1 million. Where should I put it? They decided, blah, 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 long-term strategy, short-term strategy, whatever it may be. Now you diversify it even more. All right. So your story, your path definitely is the way that people need to approach it. You start building, you start buying, you start expanding into different things and diversifying. And then, everything just keeps growing from there.
Yeah. And we have to just stay focused, y'all. Like that's my word. It's like, be mindful of distractions. Because there's always going to be distractions that are be there and all shiny items. The shiny coins, the shiny things floating around. little butterflies, and you're like, ooh, that's nice. Ooh, that's nice. And that's one of the aspects of spiritual people too. We get caught up so easily into what seems to be the next thing or the most attractive thing, but we need to like stay focused on something and take it all the way to the end before we start something else. I believe in that, and that's something that I've had to work throughout my times, because I'm great at a lot of great things. And sometimes I want to put my hands into this. I want to do a little bit of this. I want to do that. Just because I'm great at it doesn't mean that my hands need to be in every single one of them.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of one of the things that I see, one of the pain points that I see from those in this field is that they're great at gifted people are just so gifted, but have a hard time focusing on one thing at a time, or at least two things at a time.
Yeah.
2 or 3 max, but they want to do 10. And so it's really difficult to do one thing really great and really see it prosper.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's really focusing that energy.
So back to knowing yourself, knowing your why, being honest with yourself for sure. What can you handle? How much can you handle? All of that.
Self-reflection.
There we go. Self-reflection.
Assessment.
Hadiiya, thank you so much. This has been an amazing conversation. Tell the people where they can find you, online, offline, whatever it may be.
They can find me right there. I think my Instagram is there. I'm also on YouTube. Also Hadiiya Barbel Show on YouTube, which I'm going to be expanding more.
Nice.
And also on TikTok. And I'm also going to start a podcast. So I've been talking about this.
Can I be the first guest?
Yes.
All right.
I want to start a podcast, and I don't necessarily know how exactly to do it. What do? I seek information.
Yeah.
I'm on your podcast. I'm going to set up another meeting. Hey, Beez, it's okay. Now, what are my first steps? What do I need to do?
There you go.
This is how we get things done, rather than say, I want to do this, but I don't know how to do it. I love speaking. So I need to expand my voice to get it out to the world. Right? So another way, not staying on one platform, but like you said, diversifying. So this is
all right. So definitely check Hadiiya out on IG, on YouTube, and stay ready for that podcast that's coming. Let's go. Spiritual wealth has been exposed with Hadiiya Barbel. Hey, thank you so much, Hadiiya. Appreciate you. Everybody, you already know the drill. Make sure you stay tuned. Subscribe to this channel. Make sure that you are catching every episode where we expose the truth about entrepreneurship with a twist of buying businesses. All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Hadiiya. Appreciate you. All right. Take care, everybody.